is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show. Your war room for insider news and draft analysis from deep within the confines of Cowboys headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
Dallas selects Emmitt Smith, running back from Florida.
And now your hosts, David Hellman, Jeff Kavanaugh, Kevin Turner, and Kyle Yeomans.
84 days until the NFL draft. We are back in the Lone Star State, at least for half of the table. The other half has been diving into NFL draft prospects over the past couple of weeks. With 84 days left, the Senior Bowl is now in the rearview mirror, and we're back with the crew of the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show with Jeff Kavanaugh, Kevin Turner, David Hellman. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Thanks for joining us here on DallasCowboys.com radio. And guys, Senior Bowl in the past, and I think Dave and I would both agree that you two were the ones that won that battle in terms of the weather that you didn't have to go through being out at the Senior Bowl. You got to sit in your cozy AC heater and watch some draft bowl practices, but man, it was cold out there, and I'm glad to be back in the SWBC Mortgage Studios.
Completely agreed.
We did not win. We did not win.
Why is that?
Being at the Senior Bowl's fun.
It was fun.
I'm not allowed to go anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
They say I got too important.
You're
at
a
the
radio
station.
big shot, yeah.
They can't make it without me anymore.
I remember when you and KT snuck off that one year and drove yourselves over
I
there.
used vacation days.
Yeah.
I had to
Awesome.
use vacation days
To go to
do
the Senior Bowl.
call-ins at the Senior Bowl, yeah. I wanted to go.
That just means you're committed to your craft.
And that's why
we're
that's
here.
dedication.
Yeah.
We checked into our hotel room at 3 a.m.,
Yeah.
Okay.
and they put us into our room, or they gave us our room keys, and as we walk in, there's an open bag of Doritos, 2 open Mountain Dews, luggage that's open with stuff in it and strewn across the floor, and we walk back down, we're like, our room's not empty.
That's the Senior Bowl experience, man. Like mid-quality hotels, not great weather, really good football players, though.
Yes.
The Mobile Dream.
Yeah.
Good food. Food was great.
Oh, that's true. The
Restaurants
food
are
was
great.
incredible.
I'm jealous. You guys got to watch Denzel Mims run routes in person. You know,
He only
things
played
that.
like 2 hours down the road.
Yeah.
You had probably 12 opportunities to see him play earlier this year.
Yeah, well,
Shots fired at KT.
I'm not going to a lot of Baylor games.
Not going to go to a Baylor
No.
game?
You know what's really funny is Denzel Mims seems like he stole a lot of people's hearts. Which, I mean, he's got the tape to go with it, obviously. But like a lot of people were talking about him at the Senior Bowl, and I think it just goes to show how loaded this receiver class is. That I watched all 3 days of practices, and I was taken with about 3 or 4 other guys before Mims was even on my radar.
Well, I liked Mims' tape already at Baylor, so I was kind of like, okay, why everyone saw this right when he did it the last 3 years at Baylor, like good production. And that's as up and down of a program you could have had over the last 3 years.
Sure.
Okay, so I was sitting there going, so now he's everyone's sweetheart.
Yeah.
I liked him from the beginning, and I liked him so much that he's my 13th ranked wide receiver on my board.
That's kind of my point.
No.
Yeah.
No, that's kind of my point. Is like he's
awesome.
He's a damn good player, but again, like have fun stacking up this receiver class. Like I thought KJ Hill from Ohio State was like the toast of Senior Bowl week. Man, he was out there making people look silly.
Those guys are stacked up like club sandwiches on my board, Dave.
It's terrifying to try to sort
You've
that
got
out.
the early pet cat of Jeff Kavanaugh, Michael Pittman Jr. that was out there the first couple days of practice, and then you had Antonio Gandy Golden that looked good from Liberty for a little bit. I mean, there were so many receivers that really just jumped off the page, jumped off the field immediately.
Chase Claypool.
Claypool was great all week.
Devin Duvernay, Juwan
Absolutely.
Jennings.
So I have
Van Jefferson.
Jeff is the wide receiver guy, right?
Yeah.
So when I always
Don't put pressure on me, dude.
I always want to put pressure on you.
Don't put pressure
But
on me.
I have on my board, and this is the back of the 3rd round grades right here, okay? And then I added 3, 4 on my wide receivers. I'm going to do 2 on my wide receivers. I have got them stacked up like this. Here's my 3rd round grades going down. Michael Pittman, Devin Duvernay.
Too low. Fine.
John Hightower.
Haven't seen him.
Denzel Mims.
Too low.
And then KJ Hill of Ohio State, Antonio Gandy Golden, Quintez Cephas from Wisconsin's very interesting.
Okay.
And then leading off the 4th round, Van Jefferson from Florida. Colin Johnson from Texas is not too far down. Like, it's just loaded. And this is not going to work. Like, there's just...
Oh, it's going to work.
Well, no. What I'm saying is, like, there's going to be a lot
great.
of good players who are disappointed at their NFL paychecks for the rookie contract.
And there's going to be
some
a lot
third-round
of
guys who are going to get drafted in the 5th round. That is going to happen.
There's going to be a lot of happy NFL teams where they can get some badass receivers, hopefully the Cowboys included.
Denzel Mims isn't going in the 3rd round.
That's what I was kind of going to go to as well. You have him so that's your 3rd round grade.
Oh, yeah.
Really? You thought you liked him.
You were high on him like 2 seconds ago.
I love him.
I got him in the 2nd.
I think I've got him low 2nd as well.
He's good. Denzel Mims
if you've got him low 2, then he's going 90-ish.
The law of averages, like some of these guys have to fall. That's how it works.
Is gonna.
The NFL, they can take.
Not
it
every
ain't just
team's
going to
drafting
be
wide receivers.
18 receivers aren't going to get drafted in the 2nd round. Like
You
that's
don't know
not
that.
I do.
That's where I got them all graded.
I do know that.
Every one of them's a 2nd-round player.
You're gonna have
every receiver.
You're gonna have a guy with a 2 next to his name sitting there on day 3. I'll tell you that right now. Oof. And that's not a knock at your grading.
My 2s right now are T. Higgins, Michael Pittman, Laviska Shenault, Denzel Mims, and Brandon Ayuk. So I don't think I will.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's gonna happen for you. Like a guy's gonna be there on day 3 that you're shocked he's still there.
Oh yeah, and then we'll pick him. Yeah,
hope so.
There's going to be guys in the 6th round who you're going, that's a good player. And that normally never happens. So, that's totally going to happen this year in the wide receiver group.
And I think if there were a year to have it happen in terms of wide receivers for Dallas, because there are so many different positions of need, I think the best year to have a deep wide receiver class like that where you could address some of those needs in the 3rd or the 4th round, I think this year might have been the perfect scenario.
And it kind of sucks, I guess, to be an NFL wide receiver that's a free agent.
Yeah.
Because you're going, okay, well, there's a lot of teams that are just going to go, well, I know what this draft class is.
We're going to wait.
It's legitimately anything you need. Slot guy, big slot, outside guy, a possession wide receiver. You have pretty much everything you need in multiples. And normally there might just be, there's really just one pure slot separator that I really need to have. Well, no, I got like 5 of them right now, the top 120 maybe. And that's where it's going to be very difficult. But to bring it back home, this is where the whole Randall Cobb's going to be here, and this team's probably not going to do any of that stuff. But they can get a good player and develop him in round 5. You can get a guy. I mean, I think the Michael Gallup pick at 81, we were all shocked that he was still there when that happened. You're going to get that same type of feeling if this team pulls the trigger on a wide receiver on day 3 somewhere, because you'll go, okay, that might be a pretty good player who can help us down the line.
I feel exactly the same way.
Why don't you just let his statement stand then?
Yes. Just say, that was good enough, KT.
That's what I said.
Why
That's
did
exactly
you,
what I
Yeah, well,
you just wanted to hear yourself say,
shut up.
I agree?
Shut up, Jeff.
What's up with that, Dave?
in terms of Denzel Mims, I feel like we can all kind of agree that his stock rose a little bit during the Senior Bowl week, right?
Sure.
Everybody kind of said,
Baylor Homer on the
I
mic
am from
over
Waco,
here.
so that's fair.
Well, yeah, because the problem is your school is the problem. Baylor, when you watch him play, he runs stop routes, slant routes, and fly routes.
But it was
Baylor is so simple, so you have no idea what the guy can do. It's just like Corey Coleman coming out. I have no idea what he can do. He can run fast.
It was a little different. It's still limited in terms of a route tree, but there was more to it than Corey Coleman. And that's where I put a little more stock into his tape than I did Corey Coleman's, who I was never terribly high on, to be honest. There is a little more, when Matt Rule came in, there was a little more a difference to the offensive scheme, but it's not.
He does run an occasional dig.
Yeah, I know.
You're right.
Here's a couple outward breaking routes, but we'll talk a little bit about him. I know in the 3rd segment, because can we tease ahead to the 3rd segment?
Yeah,
where Jeff has 3 draft scenarios,
which we've gotten a lot of questions about this, so it's well timed.
Yes.
We're gonna break down different options you could take in the first 3 rounds, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
And
so
different players in different rounds, and then where you would go in the following rounds, depending on where you went in the first, is kind of where we're going to hit at. And that's going to be exciting.
Before we do that, though, I'm curious. Me and Kyle spent the whole week together. We compared notes. We did shows down there. So I feel like we're pretty on the same page. But was there anything else from Senior Bowl that jumped out to you in terms of a position group or a player?
Shout out to the NFL Network for showing a lot of the one-on-ones.
You can. It's not quite as good as being at Lad People's Stadium.
Yeah,
but you can follow the Senior Bowl better than ever before at this point.
Got a pretty good hunk of Dayton tape that came in during Senior Bowl week on our secret underground tunnel that we got. And got to watch even more Troutman tape, and then when he went and did what he did at the Senior Bowl, I went, okay, yeah, I'm comfortable.
So you liked him on tape too?
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, I liked him. I liked him on watching 2 games on YouTube, and then when the Dayton load came in through our little secret thing that we have, I was started going, okay, yeah, this is a legit player. because it's not just like a couple quick flashes. It's every single game manning up and beasting on dudes, and then going and doing it against Division I guys at the Senior Bowl. Adam Troutman was huge last week, I thought.
This is a perfect segue because it's something I've been thinking about since I saw him. And then another one is obviously Kyle Duggar, the Lenore Ryan safety.
Goodness.
Everybody's in love with him. I had no less than 3 people who would know tell me that he's a top 50 prospect. But my question is, for anybody that wants to answer it, Cowboys drafting either of those guys based on their history under Will McClay? That's what I can't get past.
No, probably not. And where you would have to take him would be your second-round pick.
Both of them, right?
Yes, both of those guys. Because neither one would be an option at 17, I would imagine.
And I don't think they'd
nuts
still.
If a Lenore Ryan guy went at 17.
No way. And I don't think they'd still be there at 81 either.
I would take a small school talented guy over a big school guy that's not very good.
Well,
they've made that mistake.
Kind of playing off of that, Kyle Duggar did get a chance to talk about that during the Senior Bowl week. We've got a clip from Duggar and the conversation that he had, kind of talking about the kind of player that Kyle Duggar believes you would get if you drafted him.
Some people don't think necessarily just because I went to a small school that I shouldn't have the opportunity to be here, and others just feel like I won't have success here. And I just can't make the adjustment, things like that. Just really a lot of doubts on just coming from a small school and me not being able to have success. I feel like it's definitely an underdog mentality. I guess you would call that pride and kind of mix them together, but it's always going to be there. I know it's something that's going to be pretty permanent for me. It's having that pride and that underdog mentality. So I feel like it's going to show up a lot, especially when I'm allowed to touch the field and really start feeling it and let the passion and intensity kind of come out.
So that's what you're going to get from Kyle Duggar. He knows what's kind of ahead of him in terms of being that small school guy. And I like what you had to say, Jeff, saying I would rather take a small school guy that can ball over a big school guy that might have some question marks.
Well, and I haven't gotten Lenore Ryan tape yet.
Have fun finding it.
Yeah.
It's hard to find.
When we get some Lenore Ryan tape, I can get better feelings on that individual player. And I get what you're saying, where Will McClay, I mean, he's on the record, where they would prefer it to be a big school guy. But I think that there's a lot when you're talking about what do I want in a prospect. I want him to have gone to a big school, had incredible production, and test great. Okay, sweet. That guy gets picked in the top 5.
Sure.
So now, which part can we start to take away and figure out, okay, where does he go? Like, I don't think they're afraid of the small school guy if it's the right guy. They would prefer, everybody would prefer, because it's a lot easier to watch a guy play against LSU, then Bama, then Auburn, and evaluate him that way. But I believe in this scouting staff and in Will McClay that if they think that dude's a player, that they'll take him wherever he's from.
I think I would just need to see it to believe it. Because, I mean, I went back. I mean, Will's basically, he's been on top of the draft board since 2014. Mm-hmm. And they've taken players from small schools in that time, obviously. Like, you're not always going to get to draft guys from blue blood programs. But their idea of a small school guy is Central Michigan.
Boise
State.
Central Florida.
I'm
sure
forgetting some other guys that went to some smaller
Division
schools.
Division I.
That's the thing. They haven't drafted FCS since 2012.
Who was that?
BW
Webb.
And actually,
Wow.
J.J. Wilcox was in that draft before Georgia Southern jumped up.
Kyle Duggar is not shaped like BW Webb. BW Webb is a tiny guy. You're kind of taking a chance on.
They haven't drafted a Division II player since 2009, which I believe was Akwasi Owusu-Ansah. I hope I didn't butcher that.
You got there eventually.
Yeah,
With Duggar, here are your 3 games. If you at home want to follow along, here's his tape that's on YouTube. Okay.
Oh, I got okay.
It's 2019 against Tusculum, 2019
not a
against
real place.
Mars Hill, and 2018 against North Greensville. So good luck with that. But here's the thing. Here's what I would keep in mind. Coming into the year,
Greenhill. That's a local high school.
I still like this
Sounds
player.
like a creative school.
Tight end Jared Pinckney of Vanderbilt. I still like him. Coming into the year, I know draft nicks around the world were going, he's tight end 1 going in this year, and then Vanderbilt's offense was such garbage. He had like 20 catches. But all week at the Senior Bowl, Pinckney could not get free because Duggar was eating him alive all week long.
Well, and I was going to ask that same question, and this kind of goes the opposite way of what Dave was saying a moment ago. It's easy to say, hey, your stock was rising from the Senior Bowl because there's a lot of guys that stand out. Pinckney was one of the guys that I said his stock kind of went down a little bit. Maybe not because individually he was dominated by Kyle Duggar. I just wasn't necessarily impressed. He had a couple drops in practice that I didn't like. It seemed like one-on-one drills, he wasn't necessarily up to par as well. But who were some other guys that you saw that maybe saw their stock drop a little bit over the week in Mobile?
So it's interesting. I was not impressed at all with the quarterbacks.
Wow.
At all. And I
Like
know a lot of people were like, oh, Herbert solidified a top 15 pick. I mean, I didn't see that, but again, I was not there on the ground for every throwing drill.
He's going in the top 15.
I know, and that's great news. I hope he does. Send him on up the board.
Get Jordan Love up.
But I was watching the quarterbacks and I was going, man, there's a lot of bad throws here. But I know there's some of those guys who are trying to cling on too, the Anthony Gordons and the Montezes of the world too. And I just sat there and went, this seems like a weaker quarterback class than we've had in past years. But again, watching on the NFL Network is way different than being on the ground in Mobile like you guys were.
I would agree with that for the most part. I thought Herbert and Love were good, but the rest, I mean, I just don't think the rest of those guys. Maybe Anthony Gordon does, but like Shea Patterson, Jalen Hurts. No offense.
Shea Patterson's not an NFL.
No, I know. It's Shea Patterson, Jalen Hurts. Like those guys do not have lengthy NFL careers in front of them. I do not think. The Colorado quarterback probably the same thing.
Nah.
You were pretty high on Anthony Gordon, though.
I like Anthony Gordon. Yeah. And I mean, I feel like I've watched way more Washington State football than is reasonable because they're always on at like 11 when you get home on Saturday.
Yeah,
like
but you're also impaired at that point.
Oh, for sure.
So
but
you don't know.
You're still watching them.
Those games always get weird.
No, exactly.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
they have
fun.
a 9-touchdown game earlier this year.
Yeah.
So it does get weird. But one thing with Anthony Gordon that I saw during practice, he looked better than he did in the game, at least to me, just because he didn't have a ton of happy feet. But because when he's back in the pocket, he's so active with his feet, and it's kind of odd. If go back and look at it, you look down at his feet, it's almost like he's pitter-pattering the entire time he's in the pocket. Whereas that's not necessarily a bad thing, but in the game, it's even more magnified as to whenever he was in practice. When he was in practice and able to kind of sit back there not worrying about getting hit, his feet were still. He looked confident, but when he's in the game, he's running around. He's got all the pitter-patter of the feet all the way through. He did throw a couple touchdown passes, and he looked good in the game in terms of the production that he put out there. But I just wasn't necessarily impressed with the footwork overall from Gordon.
I'll tell you, so I know you said stock drop. Stock up for me. You know, I said it last week. I was disappointed. You know, Christian Fulton probably would have been the best cornerback at that game. He pulled out for injury reasons. I did not have a whole lot of thoughts about any of the other guys that were there. I came away really impressed with several of them. Mm-hmm. Troy Pride Jr. had a fantastic week, got an interception in the game. Vilder Kendall was a guy that was the buzz of practices, got an interception in the game.
Georgia Southern.
Darnay Holmes from UCLA, and then probably my favorite of all of them was Dane Jackson, the Pittsburgh cornerback. I mean, still probably a day 3 guy, but a super confident, super smooth-looking cornerback who had no problem handling any of these guys. And that was what was so impressive. We spent the top of the show talking about how great these receivers were. He showed out against a lot of them.
I got day 3 grades on every guy that you mentioned, but I think they all deserve a lot of credit for going out and competing. And the guys that stood out absolutely got brownie points for me because, you know, when all these cornerbacks started dropping out, I mean, Gladney from TCU was going to be there.
Backed out.
And Gladney's my second cornerback on the board right now.
I was excited to watch him.
I didn't think he needed to be there. Yeah. You know, another guy who I didn't think needed to be there, and I thought it was interesting that he pulled out, is Javon Kinlaw.
Yeah.
To go, but it's like, you know what? You didn't need to be there in the first place. But then we'd heard about 2 or 3 weeks ago some knee,
little whisper, knee
tendonitis, little knee strain. Let's get him out. And I'm going, well, is that a good thing or a bad thing? They pulled him out on purpose, I think. But is the knee a problem? And now I'm still conflicted with what to think about him. I know what I feel about the player. I do not know what I feel about the knee.
Put a dog ear on that page in your binder. Come back to that in February.
And I'm glad you brought up Troy Pride Jr. because we got a chance to hear from him as well. He, out of Notre Dame, has 4 career interceptions. We're going to talk about him a little bit later because he's one of the guys in the scenarios for the Cowboys.
Maybe he is and maybe he isn't, Kyle.
Okay.
Maybe he is.
It's a maybe.
And maybe he isn't.
Well, I hope he is because we're going to hear from him here. This is the kind of player that Troy Pride Jr. thinks he could be coming out of the draft.
The best part of my game is my competitive nature. I mean, I feel like I can cover just about anybody. I can run with just about anybody. I like to call myself a blanket corner. And with that, just being my cover ability, and then how competitive I am. I mean, I'm a guy that, that I'm gonna always work to be the best. I'm always gonna work to win my reps, to win my one-on-ones, and to be, a staple for a defense, and just support each and every one of my other 10 members on the field.
He had a connection as well with Jalen Smith during his time at Notre Dame. Said that he went that Smith was at Notre Dame a little bit prior to Troy Pride Jr., but he went on to talk about how they've stayed in contact and kind of had that connection back and forth. So he's already got a little bit of a Cowboys connection. Would he fit here? We'll talk about that a little bit later, but definitely something to look out for. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to attack Twitter on the 20. Yeah. Be sure to send in your questions. Hashtag Cowboys Draft or hashtag Twitter on the 20. We'll address those when we come back on the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
I'm Jay Novacek, former tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. Back in the day, I was the guy who always got the tough yards, and that's why I run with John Deere today. In fact, I have a John Deere 3025E tractor that can handle any yard work I need to do, even the tough yards way out back. So if you have 1 acre or 1,000, John Deere has the equipment that's just right for you. Visit a John Deere dealer today and run with us. We are the official tractor provider of your Dallas Cowboys.
Essilor is a proud sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, helping fans see more and do more with our best vision solutions. Our lens technologies reveal a world more beautiful than you can imagine. For a limited time, get the Essilor Next Gen offer. When you buy the latest generation of Transitions lenses with select Essilor lenses, you can choose a second pair of clear lenses for free with qualifying frame purchases. Restrictions apply. Find a participating eye care professional by visiting EssilorUSA.com. Essilor. See more, do more.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Your new apartment's big. Such a great deal.
It's okay.
Just okay? What's not to...
Right above the subway!
Well, I bet you don't even notice it after the...
That's my neighbor, Angus!
A deal that's just okay is not okay. Get a great deal with America's Best Network. Come into an AT&T store to find out how to get one of our popular smartphones for $0 down. Based on GWS One score, September 2019.
This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
Back here from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star in Frisco, David Hellman, Kevin Turner, Jeff Cavanaugh, I'm Kyle Yeomans. Time now for some Twitter on the 20.
Yeah.
Oh.
Twitter on the 20.
There it is.
You're getting there.
I'm getting there. Send us your questions. Hashtag Cowboys Draft, hashtag Twitter on the 20. We've got a fun new little tag board thing that we're going to put these tweets up on. It looks real fancy and whatnot. So we're going to start things out.
Our production is unmatched.
Unbelievable. Dustin Worthen is our first up here on the Draft Show, and he wants to ask, we continue to talk about these teams trading up for a quarterback at number 1, but do you think there would be a team to trade up to get Chase Young at number 1? Seems like a game changer. I think we all agree with that one. But is there a chance that maybe the Bengals, of course, a team that I feel like you wouldn't have to go to number 1 in order to get Chase Young?
No, you'd have to trade up to 2.
You'd have to trade up to 2 because the Bengals are pretty I mean, we could go ahead and say it.
I think they're probably locked in on that pick. But then again, I mean,
you never know.
You never know the size of a deal that somebody's willing to put together. I mean, if somebody offers them what the Rams gave to get Jared Goff, would they turn it down? They probably should. But would they?
And it's the Redskins picking it too. So that brings a whole nother level of unpredictability because you have a new head coach in Ron Rivera who's defensive minded. I have a hard time if he has any say of him going, oh, no, we're taking Chase Young. We're not doing any trading. Mm-hmm. But you never know who's running things in Washington. So you never know what's happening there. So it could be if Washington thinks they're not close, they could make a trade. Maybe Chase Young is for sale.
Let's entertain that option. Let's say Washington is willing to make a trade. what kind of team would have, one, the package to put together for a trade for Chase Young, and two, would be willing enough to do so?
Miami, but to me
Always.
that makes no sense because they need to rebuild an entire roster.
They've got 3 first-round picks.
Yeah, so you've got ammunition, but I think they would be crazy because they need so much. They need basically an entire roster on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So to mortgage a lot to go get a single player, I feel bad for them because they tried to go 0-16. The front office did.
Yeah.
Now the players and Brian Flores did not.
Yeah.
And when they made the trade for when they traded Minkah Fitzpatrick, and the Steelers didn't have Ben Roethlisberger, where do you think they thought that pick was going to be?
Yeah.
I think they thought they were going to have the first pick and another top 10 pick, and it turns into 5 and 18.
Doug Hodges and Mason Rudolph squeaked out a couple wins. And the Dolphins, at 5, I think that's interesting. I think the Jaguars, I don't know what they're planning on, but they have the 9th and the 20th pick, and you put those together, sweeten it up a little bit, they could get up to 2 and get a game changer right there. But I don't see the Redskins trading out of number 2 and Chase Young.
I'm positive that it's happened, but I can't think. Like, when was the last time somebody did that bold of a trade for a non-quarterback?
Yeah.
And I mean, like, okay.
Julio?
I mean, that's a great answer.
Julio was a huge...
It was somewhat bold when the Buffalo-Cleveland trade for Sammy Watkins. But that was going up from like pick 9 to pick 4.
Yeah, that was a 5-pick jump. Yeah, the Julio one's good. But even the Falcons jumped from like the teens to 5, I think. It was something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly where they were.
The Cowboys for Mo Claiborne.
I was about to say Claiborne might be in that conversation.
I mean, to jump up to 2, you would probably have to do something a little crazier than what the Cowboys gave up for Mo, though. I mean, at the end of the day, that was just one pick.
No, the Cowboys to get to 2 would have to give up.
Oh, I'm not talking about the Cowboys.
2 more maybe 3 more ones, because you don't know where they'll be.
Yeah.
And I know his question was about Chase Young, but if someone's trading up to number 2, they're trading up for number 2 to get either Tua or Joe Burrow. They're not trading up to get Chase Young.
You think it's out of the question? I mean, the Falcons gave up a boatload for Julio Jones. He plays receiver.
I mean, I don't think it's out of the question, but
you don't see it often.
You
really
exactly.
don't. Yeah,
and that's why I think if that pick's for sale for Washington, it's for a quarterback and not Chase Young.
I
think Washington would just take the player.
It would be pretty Bengalsy, I feel like, to take Chase Young.
I feel like the Lions at 3 would probably be more inclined to make a trade like that, to have somebody go up for a quarterback. I think Detroit would probably be the better team in order to
do the
up.
Trubisky deal that the Bears did to get up and make sure that you get the guy.
Atlanta traded 5 picks to the Browns to make that trade.
Guys, the Redskins are not the most savvy front office. I don't know. I think they'll probably just sit there and take the player. I don't know how much trade dangling and
that is savvy. That's savvy. Just take your player.
Yeah.
We got freaking 3 months of airtime to fill, okay? Well, let's talk.
Oh, absolutely. No, I'm with you.
I'm just kidding.
How bad would the quarterback class have to be for you to take a defensive end even though you need a quarterback?
Yeah, that doesn't jive well at all.
It'd have to be pretty bad.
Especially a really bad
quarterback class. Next question comes from Just For This on Twitter, and it says, because we have not discussed this so far, so our bad, could the Cowboys go tight end at pick number 17? And even if that were an option, is there somebody there worth the pick?
That's the thing. I just don't think the tight end class is that good.
I don't either.
I don't think it's good at up top.
I think it's a deeper class, but
you're
I
right.
don't think
I'm
it's a
sorry.
class.
It's harsh to say it's not good because Harrison Bryant, he really stood out in Mobile. Yeah. Cole Kmet, the Notre Dame guy. Troutman, however you feel about FCS, he's a good player. I think Pinckney, he wasn't as impressive in Mobile as I would have preferred.
Slower.
Yeah, he did. I didn't think he looked amazing in Mobile, but he's still, you could draft him. Probably. I don't know. Where would you draft him?
Late second.
I think he's now.
I'm thinking like
third round,
third, fourth round.
I mean, look, there's a lot of teams like you had 20 catches last year.
People are absolutely enamored with my guy Thaddius Moss out of LSU. Maybe a little more than warranted.
Can he run?
Yeah, I mean
I don't know.
He's a big body. He can probably block a little bit. He can catch. I just don't know if he can run.
He's a willing blocker. He's got great hands. I don't think he's like elite fast, but how fast do you need to be a tight end?
I'm having a feeling that
4-4. I'm looking for Vernon Davis.
4-4.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Second day, I think there's going to be a tight end taken for the first time And then it's gonna start a string of tight ends. I think in the middle of the third round and fourth round, you're gonna see the majority of the top end tight ends go pretty quickly.
I think I would be surprised if a tight end gets drafted in the first round.
I would too.
Yeah,
absolutely. Would
and that's with all due respect to Jason Witten. It just reminds me of how loaded the tight end class was last year, and you could have gotten yourself a really badass one with your second round pick or even your third round pick, honestly.
Well, and also we talked about this a little bit last week, but those teams that are in dire need of a tight end, there's some tight ends in free agency that are available that could potentially be bigger than or more valuable than using a first round pick for.
Jason Witten.
There you go.
Eric Ebron was more of the name that I was thinking of.
Am I looking for a tight end or a tight end coach?
Ooh,
a tight end.
Okay,
they got a coach.
We got a tight end coach.
Lunda Wells.
Oh yeah, it's done. Yeah.
Next question, Mr. Vallejos on Twitter says, "Are there any quarterbacks in free agency that a top 10 team would pursue instead of drafting one of those quarterbacks, and how could that affect us at 17?"
There's a million free agent quarterbacks. It's just a matter of whether you think any of them are going to move to new teams. I mean, technically, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, and Phillip Rivers and Jameis Winston are all free agents. Are
only
any
two of those four possibly moving?
It sounds like Phillip Rivers is moving.
Yeah,
Phillip Rivers is moving for sure.
But
Phillip Rivers is also washed.
He is.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 40. If you're signing him,
Tom Brady's also washed.
It's as a stopgap.
And interesting,
you can win games with both of them, though.
It'll be
a really good team. But would you rather have?
I mean, you're not signing. Those guys aren't signing with a bad team at this stage in their career. Those guys are ring chasing at this point.
There's also guys like Jameis, Mariota. What's Carolina going to do with Cam
I
Newton?
think the biggest question mark in terms of affecting the draft order and stuff like that is probably Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where is he going to go?
He's been a backup for the last 4 years. He played very well for the Saints when they lost Drew Brees. I assume he's going to go after a starting gig in free agency. I would be surprised if he wants to sit for another year. Because this is his prime money-making time.
I wonder what his market is.
That's what I'm saying.
Because I would rather have Justin Herbert, Tua, Burrow.
Heck, even
how far does
Jordan
that go?
Love
Jordan
at
Love,
this
maybe.
Point. I mean, I was all about Teddy
I'd
2
rather
years
have
ago.
Rather than Teddy?
Rivers, yes.
How many of these
Teddy over Love?
How many of these rookie quarterbacks are you ready to plug in on day one?
I don't really know yet. I guess the point is that if I were to bring Teddy Bridgewater in, I think that I just intentionally got an average at best quarterback. And to me, that's a weird plan.
Bengals not close. Redskins not close. The Lions will get Stafford back, but they could still potentially draft a quarterback.
They could.
Giants, we feel like they're probably not close, right? We all good there? Dolphins not close. Chargers without Phillip Rivers. Now they could do something interesting. They could,
sure.
Maybe they try to pick up a Cam Newton or see if they can revitalize Jameis or whatever.
Dude, in LA would be
the Chargers. The Chargers pick in the top 10. One of these guys is going to be a stopgap.
Exactly.
Mariota or Winston is going to, or I doubt it would be Teddy Bridgewater because I think he's got enough clout that he could ask for a bigger deal. But one of these guys is going to sign a 1 to 3 year deal for a team that winds up drafting a quarterback. That just seems logical to me.
Send the old Jacoby Brissett deal and move it on.
I can see Mariota being that guy.
The Colts are another one for that matter. They came right out and said they're not sold on Jacoby Brissett as their QB.
Be.
Yeah. But to answer my own question, I think Burrow and Herbert are the only dudes in this class that I would feel comfortable right now saying if he's your starter week 1. That's
what about
probably
Tua when healthy?
I'd be more comfortable with Tua than I would with Herbert.
Tua's not healthy, and I don't expect.
Well, he should be to start the season, right?
That's a question mark,
I need to follow that and see it with my own eyes before I'm ready to just say it's going to happen.
Can he play with a walker?
Seriously,
I think so.
That's your hip, man. You need that to do everything in football, but also to play quarterback.
Speaking of hip injuries, my pet cat, Amik Robertson from Louisiana Tech, the small cornerback.
That is your pet cat.
My guy, I believe he had 14 interceptions in the last 3 years.
He did.
My tiny cornerback who plays on the outside like a tough dude.
Well, he was a La Tech Bulldog, so he's a Bulldog.
Got a little bit of a hip injury and. Yeah,
thanks for the update.
Is that in the rumblings?
It's not what you want to hear.
In the wind.
Yeah,
just something you heard?
Gonna be a problem.
Let's go.
No, I think it's out there.
Okay,
I think it's bad.
Let's go to Justin Reed and Justin asked
the safety from Houston.
Simmons,
great player.
Talking about Isaiah Simmons, someone the Cowboys could look to play safety, and if he falls past 10, could we move up to get him?
I would.
That is a guy who, if for some reason he started falling, I mean, kind of not saying they're similar players, but like remember Derwin James 2 years ago? You didn't expect him to be there past like pick 8. All of a sudden, he's there at pick 16 and 17. Hell yeah, I'd be interested.
That'd be great. So you talk about maybe he falls to 10, the Browns. Then you've got 11 Jets, 12 Raiders, 13 Colts. Could you make a deal with those teams?
I'm not giving up my second-round pick to move up to get anyone.
Not even
Simmons?
A badass?
No.
That's
maybe Chase Young. You talk me into that?
Chase Young?
That's what I'm saying.
You're drafting scared.
My new thing.
I'm sitting at 17, and I'm gonna if I need a safety, I'll just take Delpit. And I'll be happy.
Oh, you're drafting scared, KT. I don't know.
So we're going to give up picks when we don't have a lot of cap room here. We're going to give up some picks. We're going to blow out these minimum wage players. But I know I can get someone that can help me at 51.
Would a first and a second even get that done going from 17 to, let's say, 11 to the Jets?
To 11?
Because the Jets don't need a safety.
Probably not on the trade chart, but...
Man, if I told you, which obviously the hope is that pick 51 can help you and be good right away. But let's be honest. If the Cowboys have a bugaboo in recent years, it's probably the second round. Tristan Hill is coming off a very disappointing season. Jalen Smith needed a year to get himself right. Connor Williams was fine as a rookie. He certainly didn't blow anybody away. Cheeto was okay as a rookie. He was a part-time starter and a contributor. If you told me I could secure the second best defender in the draft by giving up my second round pick.
Question.
I'm interested.
No, let's interrogate KT for a second.
I'm interested.
So you're on a scale of 1 to 10 without trading. I'm just saying you just get to pick this player. How great would you feel if you picked Isaiah Simmons?
Oh, I'd be great. Yeah, awesome.
Would we be high-fiving in the room?
1 to 10.
100%.
Yeah,
Okay, so you're
I'd
at
be
a
a
10.
Yeah, pumped.
If you pick Grant Delpit, 1 through 10, how are you feeling?
9.
Yeah, I'd be excited about that.
8,
I'm
9.
obviously
I'd say
a
an
little
8.
biased, but
maybe a 7.
Because if you're still at a 9, maybe you don't want to trade up. Maybe you do
I
want a
have
second round
questions
pick.
about
Simmons-
Delpit. I don't have questions about Simmons.
I don't have questions about Simmons except for how he would be used here.
Okay. That's a good point.
Can he play center field?
He's your third. No, he's your third linebacker.
Exactly.
He's
So
your
you're-
strong safety.
So you're
he's
your third linebacker.
he's never coming off the field.
He's never coming off
Ever.
the field for sure. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to trade
He's
up for a
blitzing.
strong
He's playing
safety.
linebacker. He's playing safety.
But
Do you want to trade a 1 for Jamal Adams?
No.
he's not a strong safety though. That's what's so intriguing about Simmons. For that matter, you can throw Xavier McKinney and Grant Delpit in there too. Is like I am enamored with these guys that can play all over the back seven. Just find a spot for them. They can play 2 or 3 linebacker positions. They can play safety. Delpit and McKinney can probably do a little bit more because they can move into the slot. I don't know if Simmons can do that.
If I'm drafting scared, that's fine. I have no problem being called a scaredy cat. I'm okay with that. But I'm just saying, if I'm drafting scared, I've also got one eye over here on the monies and the roster.
No,
I'm
and
looking at all of it, and I just don't. I don't think it makes sense. I think you have a potential right here, picking in the middle of the first 3 rounds to grab guys who can help you. And it's all going to be good.
Tag and trade Amari. I can get you more picks. No problem.
Okay, see, now if we're doing that, then that changes things. If we're maneuvering,
Let's have some fun.
Jeff's so reckless.
If we're maneuvering and trading other guys who are already on the roster, then that opens up a whole new can of worms.
I'll trade the running back and the linebacker. Let's go.
But
Let's
I'm just
move some
answering the
people.
question that was asked by the guy on Twitter. The question that was asked was, would you trade up to get him?
I think
There's nothing else there.
That's going to be
What's it cost me?
That's like the dominant storyline of this draft for me is like you're sitting right in a spot where, not to bring up receiver again, but like you might be able to get the best receiver in the class at 17, or you settle for a good player but a lesser value at another position. Like Grant Delpit maybe isn't the best value at 17, but he fits what you want, as opposed to, or the same thing with like an offensive tackle. You could get like a blue chip offensive tackle maybe.
I
that might
feel
be a
like
stretch,
I'll have
but
my Zach Martin or Ryan Shazier. Just don't take the Johnny Manziel situation.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I will have a good player get to me at 17, and I want to keep that second round pick.
Gosh, isn't this fun? We can talk about being in the middle of the middle of the first round and have these options. It's
no,
great.
it's not fun. KT's not
No,
trying to
this
let us
is-
get
you don't wanna be in the
Simmons.
middle.
It's
This
not
is
fun.
fun.
The worst
It's
place.
not fun.
This is good.
KT's
You don't want to be in the middle.
KT's a coward.
60% of
I'm a coward,
the
fine.
number 17 pick over the past 20 years has been traded away.
I'll go get Simmons if it costs me my third.
That's not going to happen.
That's not gonna happen.
Drafting scared.
We're just giving away
That's
pick
not gonna
51.
happen.
Okay.
Just drafting scared.
All right, one more
Gonna have to get
question
some help
before
there.
we take our next break. And Matt, for the second week in a row, our boy Matt has a great question.
Have a
Would
defensive line.
re-signing Robert Quinn change your opinion on drafting Kinlaw
We're chasing in that first round.
Chasen maybe because he's an edge player.
Yeah.
Not Kinlaw because, I mean...
It wouldn't change me on Kinlaw.
Why would it change
The
you
only
on
thing that would
Kinlaw?
change me on Kinlaw is the knee.
The reason it would change me on Kinlaw is because, obviously, you're right. Robert Quinn plays defensive end. Chason here would play defensive end, and Kinlaw would play the 3 technique. But the biggest thing for me with Robert Quinn potentially being gone isn't just I'm missing a defensive end. It's who in the world is my second pass rusher?
Sure. Yeah.
Kinlaw's that. I think Kinlaw would be your second pass rusher. He wouldn't line up outside. But I need somebody to get after the quarterback other than Tank.
But if you have Quinn, you still need a 3-tech. Yes. Like, you still need a pass rusher.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean...
Yeah. But
DeMarcus...
if I don't have Quinn, it does crank up how much I want anyone who can rush the passer. Whether it's a free agent, whether it's an edge.
You know, to the question's point, like, if you had Robert Quinn... And we don't know who they might sign at D tackle. You know, last year they got Christian Covington.
Mm-hmm.
It's always confusing.
Okay, you're right. That would affect how much.
But you still would want a badass 3-tech even if you had 2 good edge rushers, right?
Either way.
Yeah. And honestly, drafting Kinlaw is even more exciting if you have Robert Quinn on the roster because it's a pick your poison of 3 really good pass rushers.
My problem with the question there is we're talking about 2 different areas of the draft for Kinlaw and Chason for me. I know the world loves Chason. I don't have Chason as a top 20 player.
I've got him as an early second.
I've got Kinlaw as a top 12 or top 10 player. I don't have Chason as a top 20 player.
It's hard to get a read. Everybody's. I mean, I said this at the Senior Bowl last week. Like, there are people that think Kinlaw's a top 10 pick. There are people that have him going at the end of the first round.
Yep.
And I feel like Chason's stock is rising, but I don't think everybody's sold on him all the way to the point where he's like a consensus top 20 guy for sure.
Would you like that pick?
He's fun though.
I
like the player. I just don't. I think we're talking about 2 different.
If they take
Chason at 17, Chason,
I would like it. Yeah,
I would have my fingers crossed that it works out because I do like the player. I
would be the same way. I think
I wouldn't be on your 1 to 10 scale that you threw out earlier for Delpit. I would throw a 6 in there.
Kinlaw would be a 10 for me.
Yes,
Kinlaw would be a 9 for me.
Chason would be a 6 or 7.
I wouldn't be all the way sold that it was a great move.
Yeah,
but I hate when people fall into this trap. But I can't help but think about Daniil Hunter, who was a similar type of player in college who I was not high on, and he's obviously a freaking
That's why he'll get drafted high. Long and athletic.
His tape wasn't great.
No.
Hunter's tape wasn't great at LSU.
But man, it's like
tools.
Go watch the last 5 games of LSU's season. Kayla Vaughn was a monster against the run and the pass. So I wouldn't hate that.
He's
pick
stronger
at all.
than he gets credit for. I know people knock him because he's 240 or whatever.
He looks like looks like a tweener.
But he handles the run okay.
He does.
There's just a little bit more you want to see, and that's where you talk with Kinlaw. I go, okay, I got what I. This is what I want here.
I think 17 feels a little rich. Which
that feels like the beginning of his range to me, like 16 to 25 is kind of that Chason range.
I hope the Cowboys can find a way to bring Quinn back because it just solves a lot of problems about what you do about edge. Because I was going to bring that up in the Senior Bowl.
Dorn's time.
First of all,
that's the next guy up.
Well, and I don't like. I'm not.
Where's Randy?
Unless you're the Washington Redskins and you can draft Chase Young, I'm not feeling awesome about the edge rushers in this class.
AJ Epinesa? You don't want some AJ Epinesa in there?
Not really. I watched
Joshua Uche.
I watched Yetur Gross-Matos the other day. I came away.
I like him. I don't love him.
I came away not impressed. Not at 17. Tell you that.
Not at 17. No.
That's how I feel about every non-Chase Young guy.
Basically.
Epinesa, I would go, oh. Okay.
That'll work.
Like, we're going to have 2 monsters that play the run great and get me 8 to 10 sacks. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
I take that.
But you're talking about a guy, Jerry Jones always calls it like Gumby. Like, that's not Gumby.
Robert Quinn is the Gumby.
Well, we got a new coaching staff. We may not be looking for Gumby anymore.
I am Gumby.
Everybody's looking for Gumby. Thank you, Eddie
I am
Murphy.
Gumby, damn it.
Well, everybody's looking for Gumby. All schemes want bendable pass rushers.
Yeah, but that's no reason to, if you have one who's not like that, that's really good, be like, nah.
mean, it's early.
Can we get Randy Gregory back?
I would love that.
Let's just do that.
Maybe they're going to talk about substance rules at the owners' meetings. Maybe it's a new age.
Maybe stop punishing players for mental health problems.
Hey,
How about
guys,
that?
final segment coming up.
We've got to get to the last segment because this is going to be fun.
Sorry about that.
Plenty of options at 17. We've addressed that in Twitter on the 20. However, we're going to look 3 rounds deep. What do the Cowboys do if they attack a certain position in the first round when we return on the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show?
I am Gumby.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys? Jack Black. Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Whether you're into being a part of this or more into something like this, SeatGeek has the tickets to the events you love. It's the easiest way to find, buy, and sell tickets. Plus, with their Deal Score technology, they'll recommend the best seats in the house at the best value. So the next time you're craving this, download the SeatGeek app and let's go. SeatGeek.
I'm Jay Novacek, former tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. Back in the day, I was the guy who always got the tough yards, and that's why I run with John Deere today. In fact, I have a John Deere 3025E tractor that can handle any yard work I need to do, even the tough yards way out back. So if you have 1 acre or 1,000, John Deere has the equipment that's just right for you. Visit a John Deere dealer today and run with us. We are the official tractor provider of your Dallas Cowboys.
Your new apartment's big. Such a great deal.
It's okay.
Just okay? What's not to...
It's right above the subway.
Well, I bet you don't even notice it after the...
That's my neighbor, Angus.
A deal that's just okay is not okay. Get a great deal with America's Best Network. Come into an AT&T store to find out how to get one of our popular smartphones for $0 down. Based on GWS 1 score, September 2019.
This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
Back here in the SWBC Mortgage Studios. Dave, you look like you have something on your mind.
No, shouts out to Bobby Belt, the stat god. He's always keeping us on our toes. But it was 2 years ago, the Saints made a pretty significant trade up into the top 10 to get Marcus Davenport out of Texas San Antonio.
That's not big enough to count, though.
They jumped halfway up the draft board. How does that not count?
I thought you were looking for jumps into the top. Like
Maybe
they jumped into the middle of the round with a pick that they knew was going to be at like 28 to 30 the next year.
What they get him?
They drafted
15 or 14.
15 or 17, something like that.
13 it was 14. It was 27 to 14.
Yeah.
That's a pretty substantial jump.
Bobby,
they gave up a first.
Step your game up.
They gave up a first in the next draft. I'm just
like number 30.
To get Chase Young, I still think you'd have to do more.
Yeah, for sure.
But crazier things have happened. Maybe.
Have they?
I mean, the Saints once gave up a whole draft for Ricky Williams.
It's a big maybe. It depends on what the package is to get Chase Young.
Yeah.
If crazier things have actually happened.
Back when running backs mattered, you're right. I lean toward thinking it wouldn't happen.
All right, so we talked about plenty of scenarios in that last segment, talking about what the Cowboys could do at pick 17. Now, Jeff, you've talked about 3 different scenarios with the first 3 rounds. So we're going all by threes here. First, second, third round. And you got 3 scenarios, and we're going to choose either or between these guys. What's your first scenario?
Yeah, see, anybody could just say, hey, who do you want in the first round? But to me, that's cheating. Absolutely. We got to follow this thing all the way down the trail through 3 rounds. So I'm going to give you 3 different options here. Behind door number 1 is the Cowboys at number 17 select Grant Delpit.
Okay.
LSU safety.
Love it.
They take him at 17.
Awesome.
At 51, they're going to make a pick that's just for me. Jordan Elliott, defensive tackle, Mizzou.
Okay.
In the 3rd round, Senior Bowl standout, Denzel Mims. We're taking a wide receiver in the 3rd round. That's your first set.
Okay.
You can go Delpit, Elliott, Mims.
I like
Safety,
Elliott a lot.
D-tackle, receiver. Our second pick, our second set of picks here. First round, Cowboys take Javon Kinlaw.
All right, that's the one.
I compensated for that with my next 2 picks. Their second pick is Ashton Davis, the Cal safety.
I love Ashton Davis.
Yeah, I'm a fan of him too,
personally.
Their third round pick is Troy Pride Jr. out of Notre Dame, the cornerback. Although, if I could just change my own rules of the game, I'd rather put Auburn's Noah Igbenogany.
You got it.
I'd rather put him in there.
Rhymes with mahogany. You made this up. You can do whatever you want.
I don't think anybody's seen him except me.
I'm gonna go on a.
You're gonna say he's not
going to
be there?
I don't think he's going to be there.
Okay,
not in third. Not in the third round.
Okay, so Kinlaw, Davis, Pride, and your third grouping would be in the first round. The Cowboys take Christian Fulton
out.
LSU corner.
Oh, stop.
Fulton's better.
Not 17.
Fulton's better than Gladney. You're going to end up eating those ones. You're going to eat that one.
All right, we'll just
That one's not
discuss
gonna
that
age
in
well.
a future.
Do you think Fulton is better than Gladney?
We'll have a cornerback
Fulton is better
fight
than
coming
Gladney.
up in 3 weeks on the draft show.
Second round, you take Bradley Anai, Utah defensive end.
He was good at the Senior Bowl.
And in the third round, you'd take another Utah player, Leaky Fotu.
I like my Utah guys.
Nose tackle. You get a nose tackle, an edge rusher, and a corner, all defense. 2 of the 3 were all defense.
Okay,
Which group you like?
Spoiler alert. We knew that we were doing this ahead of time, so I sat down. The 2 guys I hadn't seen were Elliott and Anai. Love Jordan Elliott.
Yeah.
I told you that last night. He's fun to watch.
That's my big man.
Bradley Anai, I was not impressed.
I was kind of using what seems like he's getting a Senior Bowl bump.
He definitely
'cause I was
did.
thinking
No.
like third round guy.
He dominated the Senior Bowl. He had a hurry that led to Jalen Hurts throwing a pick. He had 2 or 3
sacks.
2 or 3 sacks
Can
in
we
the
talk
game.
about the fact that he had 29 and a half career sacks, though?
Everything.
I mean, he was a dominant player, and he only started 3 years.
Here's the thing about Bradley and I was guilty because at first I felt like Dave, and I was going, this guy just doesn't have any juice. And then you watch a game, go through it play by play, and you go, by the end of it, he's winning every time. He is kind of the definition of a lunch pail guy because he is
don't say.
He is kind of like, I need to win early with snap anticipation because I don't have the bend, the Gumby. I don't have the burst.
I'm looking for
but
Gumby
he plays
with
good with his hands and things like that. He does a good job of winning in the end. The traits are not there, and that's what makes him scary. And taking him in the second round at pick 51, I'm uncomfortable doing. But I do like the player, and I would take him in round 3.
He looks really good when he can get inside on the tackle and has a straighter path to the quarterback, which so does everybody.
I was about to say, you can say that about any
He
player.
looks really not impressive when he has to get around or through the tackle. I watched him play USC, which they have a left tackle by the name of Austin Jackson. A lot of people think he's going to go first round.
I wouldn't.
I saw him getting his butt kicked for most of that tape.
He's got a long way to go to be a first-round player in my estimation.
Okay, point being, a draftable, highly draftable left tackle.
Good competition.
I thought handled him pretty well. And I mean, he looked good at the Senior Bowl. You got to take that into account. Played well in the game. Games matter. But 51.
It's like at some point, what is your trait that makes you kind of takes you over the top to be a second round player?
Right.
If it's not the burst and the speed around the edge, it's not the length.
I'm still looking for that at pick 51.
Me too.
Who's the second round edge?
Greenard, maybe from
Out of
Florida. Jonathan Greenard, if you want to go there.
Okwara, Notre Dame.
Okwara is so tough because the way they used him is weird. There's a drop off, and then it kind of picks up again.
What about Curtis Weaver, Boise State? Where do you have him?
I'm not a fan.
Not a fan of him?
I mean, it's the same type of thing.
Yeah.
Just not athletic enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trusting another guy who just kind of wins kind of the same way.
See, I just watched him run circles around people that were on bad football teams that were bad players, and he would just run around them. And I'm just like, I don't know how to translate that.
He did
If
some
Weaver
stat
shows up
padding.
at the combine and runs a 6'8" 3-cone, then I'm like, oh, wow, I'm way too low.
Yeah.
Let's move him up. Because now suddenly his athleticism works.
So Anai is in that group with Christian Fulton and Leaky Fotu. Fotu I like. Everyone liked Fotu, though, as the third round. One technique. I mean, he's a massive.
Solid.
Think about what you had this year with Antoine Woods, and when Antoine Woods was missing, and how things hurt so much when Antoine Woods was out as a 6-foot guy. Fotu's a 6'5", 330-pound dude. I mean, there's a big difference. He can take on double teams.
He moves well. He's not Vita Vea, but he moves well.
He moves well.
Let's translate that over to the guy I really like, which is Jordan Elliott.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a big cat who can do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gives you more than Fotu does for sure.
6'4", 315.
Yeah.
Plays 1, plays 3. Mizzou had him playing some 3-4 end. Like, he can go all over the line.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with his hands. Like, he's just karate chopping people out of his way. I thought he pressured the quarterback on like 15% of his snaps this season, which, I mean, 400 snaps. That's a freaking.
It's a lot of pressures.
Yeah.
He only has 5.5 career sacks though.
Can I?
I don't need him. I don't need him to
I just want to be devil's
That's
advocate.
the difference. Like, there's like, well, you know what you're getting in a Nye, and we're not comparing a Nye and Jordan Elliott. Like, you know what you're getting when we watch a Nye. When you watch Jordan Elliott, you don't always know what you're getting on snap-to-snap basis.
True.
When you watch him, because sometimes you go, okay, why did he just get pushed back 3 yards? Like, he just stood straight up, and then he fires off and he knifes through, and then you're like, okay, wow, okay, he's firing off, he's playing well. It's all about staying low, and technically that can be refined. He could be a player who's ascending. So
that's what it's all about. Because I see the same guy where it's like, I don't see a guy that's great with his hands all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a guy who plays with the right pad level, and they still kind of can't stop him.
And he gives you some range, too, for
Yeah.
a defensive tackle. Like, Fotu is not going to make a lot of plays outside of his area.
I watched Elliott chase down a receiver screen yesterday.
Yeah.
Like 10 yards down the field. Like, the receiver had room to run and was able to accelerate, and Elliott still caught him.
Group
Who
one's
does that
fun,
remind
isn't
you
it?
of?
No, Group 1, who does that remind
I was thinking D-Law.
Yeah, I could see that.
Can I throw in a guy, though, just like as an exemption? Like, say something happened to Jordan Elliott.
Okay.
Say, like, he got the Javon Kinlaw knee tendonitis.
Who are you throwing in?
TCU defensive tackle Ross Blacklock.
I like him
have
too.
y'all seen him
I've
yet?
got him in the second round, yeah. I like him too.
I haven't
Got
seen
him
Tell me
kind
about
of
him.
in that same area, too, as another big man I think we should keep our eyes on.
I think he's
kind
been
of
in the draft show's mentions for a little while.
Quick.
A lot of Cowboys Twitter likes him.
He's kind
Powerful
of both.
hands.
He's kind of a 3, a 1. I
Can
think he's probably
do a little
more of
bit
a
of
3, but they let him play the 1 a lot at TCU. So he's kind of a combination at the defensive tackle that can do some of everything.
Had an Achilles in 2018. I am in the boat of always being very skeptical of anyone who's had an Achilles injury.
Red flag.
Just
fair.
in general, when I see a person on the street who's got a bad Achilles, I'm
Sorry,
like,
88.
he can't be on my pickup basketball team. He can't
You
jump
should
anymore.
go tell Richard Sherman that down in Miami, okay?
I'm not telling him anything.
Throwing shots.
Okay, but so you guys are all picking one? Is that what you guys
Give
are
me
doing?
Group 1 with bells on. And, like, I don't, some people are going to be lower on Delpit. I think, he might go in the 20s, like 17 could be too rich in somebody's eyes.
He might go 12.
Don't have a good read on Elliott. And again, have fun sorting out these receivers.
Yeah.
But, man, that's a fun group. And all 3 picks address a pretty big area of need, in my opinion.
I have Kinlaw graded higher than Delpit.
I do too.
And I have Ashton Davis graded higher than Jordan Elliott.
I do not.
I will take Group 2.
Wow.
Javon Kinlaw,
Even
Ashton
though
Davis at safety.
You think third round is too rich for pride, though.
Yeah, I don't really.
You're just settling for that because
settling.
the first 2 picks are so good,
great.
you
That's how the
can't
game
deny
works.
it. Yeah.
You gotta
I do
make
like
sacrifices.
Denzel Mims, but I don't think that's something they would seriously do if Cobb is back. I guess is the way I'm
I
kind
think
of.
even though I like Christian Fulton, Group 3 is like a distant third for me.
Well, and like Dave said earlier, we saw these going into the show. We had already got a chance to kind of look at a couple of these guys. But I initially, whenever, Jeff, you sent the text message, I said, Group 2. I'm sold on Group 2. But then as you were reading this out, I went back to your 1 to 10 scale, and I just wrote down how excited I would be for those specific players whenever they would come across the draft board. I chose Group 1 just based off of my excitement. I really did. Even
Group
though
1
originally
Group 1's a lot of fun,
Yeah.
and that's why it won't happen. Like
I might be
but I'm
cheating
like you,
when I
though,
throw
Group
receivers
3's
in
all
there.
the way
down.
Like receivers are fun and exciting, so
Yeah,
we're going
they
to pick
are.
it because there's a receiver in there. I might need to ban receivers from the
But
game.
even-
from these scenarios.
Yeah. No, you'll
take Denzel Mims over Troy Pride is
Yeah.
what's happening here.
Kenlaw,
Yes.
Kenlaw and Ashton Davis start for this team right away. And that's exciting to think about.
Yeah.
I mean, Elliott and Delpit
I was about
probably
to
would
say,
too, but
sure.
I think those
All
would
we're
be
doing
in
is
the
flipping the
conversation.
order of safety and D tackle.
But
there.
the guys in Group 2 might be more ready-made. Maybe.
If Kinlaw's knee.
Well, okay. Why you gotta
Why do you
kill
always
the
do that?
vibe, man?
Well,
That's an-
Davis
and I
has some
think that's
injury
Ender.
issues too.
I don't-
Davis missed the
did, yeah,
Senior Bowl because
Davis-
of a groin issue.
Yeah.
So they've both had some
Yeah, what's
questions.
up now?
Yeah,
Pal?
no, that's fair. And Davis could stand to put on about 10 pounds of bulk. It's going to be
Yeah.
hard to do that with a bad
With a
groin.
issue.
I'm a broken record, but again, just the positioning in the draft order. No, they're not in the top 10, but this is as high as they've been picking in a while. This just, for me, underlines that there's going to be good players available at all their picks.
Ah, that's so exciting. You're going to have some starters.
And that's why we're not trading up either. We're just going to sit and take the good
Isaiah
players.
Simmons is there, KT, at 10.
Yeah, don't be a wuss, KT.
Be responsible,
Let's just do it. Let's get it done. All right, that's going to do it for our 4th episode of the Draft Show here in 2020. We're already a month in.
Wow.
Which is funny. The Combine coming up in February. For Jeff Kavanaugh, for Kevin Turner, for David Hellman, I'm Kyle Yeomans. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.